Thank you, Jason. My story today comes out of Alabama. Alabama hands out 20 medical cannabis business licenses in third try. Let's try this again, Alabama. And so my the story is in MJ Biz Daily, and a couple of other outlets. Licenses were previously awarded in June and August, yet each of those rounds were nullified by AMCC, that is their cannabis regulations board, miscues, like using third-party evaluators with potential conflicts and votes taken behind the shadiness of closed doors without companies being able to state their case before the group, and a plethora of lawsuits by aggrieved non-awardees. This all happened in June and then again in August. This time after a settlement allowing a new round of evaluations and awards under agreed upon conditions, like making the voting public. Maybe the third time is an actual charm. By 2028, just 4 years from now, cannabis is projected to be a $70 billion business. Last year, it accounted for 428,059 full-time jobs. This is according to Leafly Jobs Report. The death of the lack of minority participation thus far in this geyser of new wealth has been a source of frustration nationwide since California became the first state to legalize marijuana in 1996. African American entrepreneurs, for instance, account for less than 2% of cannabis business owners in the nation, according to that 2021 Leafly Jobs Report. That's worse than in 2017 when 4.3% were Black. That year, 81% of cannabis business owners were white, 5.7 Hispanic, and 2.4 Asian. A 2021 report from Leafly states the cannabis industry must show true commitment to equity as it expands, so the wealth generated by this new opportunity will uplift minority communities. If it cannot, we will continue to see these communities struggle in the shadow of white supremacy without a fair shot. Fortunately and amazingly, in these unique times, minority participation in our nascent cannabis industry is mandated by the state law, passed in 2021, making it legal to grow and distribute medical marijuana in Alabama. At least a quarter of the awardees in all one category must be at least 51% minority owned, defined as individuals of African American, Native American, Hispanic, and Asian descent, according to the law, which is technically not legal, but that's a whole nother story. 5 of those licenses awarded last week went to companies that qualified as majority owned by members of an historically undeserved group. I Am Farms is a cultivator, native Black cultivation. Shout out to Antoine Mordecon, our state director for M4MM. That is his company. He got a cultivation license. 1819 Labs, which is a processor license. GP6 Wellness is a dispensary. And Pick Up My Things is a secure transporter. Last week, the AMCC did not announce companies being awarded integrated licenses, which allow a company to cultivate, process, transport, and sell medical cannabis products. That category was the source of most of the legal fire. Those licenses will be awarded on December 12th. There are 38 integrated license applicants. The law caps integrated awardees at 5, so that should be interesting. In the last round, 2 minority-owned integrated companies, TheraTrue Alabama and Southeast Cannabis Company, were awarded licenses. For now, at least 2 of the awardees are pleased and hopeful. Shout out to Roy Johnson, independent journalist that published quotes from 2 of the awardees. Being a minority-owned business and securing a license in the burgeoning cannabis industry in Alabama is a significant achievement, shared Alan Forrest, owner of Pick Up My Things. This presents a valuable opportunity to participate in a growing market, contributing to the economic landscape and paving the way for further diversity and inclusivity within the industry. Back in August, Antoine Mordecon, CEO of Native Black Farms, which has been growing hemp at its Jefferson County facility since 2020, told me it was disheartening to be denied a license a second time. He's now encouraged that the commission was able to acknowledge how we can serve as an asset to the people of Alabama. He shared with me over the weekend, I'm excited to work with the commission, the Department of Agriculture, and look forward to providing evolving insight into our new emerging industry. Companies awarded licenses have until December 15th to pay their fees. Companies denied licenses have until the same date to request a hearing before the AMCC. I am so happy for all of the awardees in Alabama. No social equity program has gotten it right, so we'll be watching this very closely. I hope that these licensee awardees already have their funders ready to go. I'm grateful that a lot of them have already been in the industry long enough to know and understand how to navigate this space. and they're ready to go. So shout out to Antoine and the other awardees. But we'll be watching to see what happens in Alabama. I don't expect them to get it right, but we will see. So this is Nicole Buffon reporting for High at 9 News.
Yeah, my minority appreciation doesn't seem, it seems like an oxymoron in a place like Alabama.
Yeah, for sure.
Are
It
you
does.
saying they can't be reformed?
No, I'm saying that it's not.
We are. Yes, we're clearly saying that they can't.
Okay.
First of all,
All right.
Jason coming hard with the dog whistling today. I like it. I like it.
first of all, Alabama has, we don't have to go through the history of what Alabama has contributed to white supremacy in this nation. But I will say that I am so proud of these licensees for continuing to fight. They didn't give up. They recognized how important it was that they at least follow the law, follow the rules that you made yourself. How are you going to pick people that don't even go by the qualifications that you demanded in the state? And so they fought, and hopefully the rest of this rollout will be nice and smooth. That's what I'm wishing for these awardees.
So are you saying that the program there had a racial preference in terms of awardees?
Yes, which is so easy.
That's a real challenge, and I'm going to explain to you in my limited understanding why that's going to be a problem and why that sets them up for litigious landmines in the future. So, affirmative action was rolled back, and as a result of affirmative action being rolled back because it was race-based preference,
that's right.
Many municipalities, many policy writers, many trade organizations, many of the people doing the good work to make sure that these programs have granular, that they make sense, that they're logical, that these programs are fully thought out and fleshed out, understand that when you put in these race-based preferences, you basically set a program up for civil litigation downstream with an organization unnamed, funded by who knows who, that's going to say, hey, these are not fair because they're race-based. And so that's why we've come up with things like disproportionately impacted areas, or if you qualify for 3 out of the 5 symptoms of poverty or of being in a community of color in this country, here's how you're going to be able to qualify for these programs. So the challenge that I have is a challenge that I have every day. I wake up every morning and it's the same darn challenge, which is that we see these programs roll out things that we have seen not work in other markets. Hello, we started the day with an article about New York that also is about rolling out things that have not worked in other markets. So here we've got this and we're shouting out, and we're happy and we're hopeful and all that stuff. But if they've set up a program that we know has known landmines and is begging litigation later and has a chance of being rolled back, unwound, redone, whatever, then my question is, what are we doing to those current license holders and having them go down that rabbit hole, go down that path, while we know that the greatest chance is that this program is going to get modified as a result of civil litigation? Why do we do that over and over?
I'll say this, the people they've already awarded licenses to will continue. They will move forward. And under the auspice of whatever's been laid out, even if they halt the program, those people will still continue to build and prepare and get to the point where they're ready to go. So, I mean, you're right, but it's like, dude, the whole state is that kind of situation, right? It's like there's no impacted area. The whole thing has been impacted. And cannabis in general has been impacted in a pejorative and negative way in that state for countless decades, right? So I mean, it's like, it's foolish to think that, you know, the awardees are going to be harmed by this. It's all the applicants, it's all the people that have an actual legitimate right to join this industry and to get in there and receive a license. They're the ones that are going to be hurt and held back, and potentially even those people that have investment dollars that have already been given to them for this purpose are going to be in real trouble. And it's not it might be a legal situation. Yeah.
I think Yarrow's absolutely right. You know, in Nevada, when we looked at legislation, when we made recommendations to the state of Nevada in 2021, and they put social equity for the first time in state statute, Minorities for Medical Marijuana looked at what other states' language was. And that was one of the things that we made sure wasn't a qualification for qualifying for social equity. We used the disenfranchised, like you had to put in your zip code or your area code, your zip code in order to determine if you qualify. And it could not be based on race because we saw in other states what was happening. And we didn't want to face litigation down the line in Nevada for those social equity applicants. So you're absolutely right, Saman, and so are you, Yarrow. It goes both ways, and we want to hope for the best. But at the same time, we've seen this happen in other states, and it's going to be a few years down the line. It's going to slow up the process for those that did get the license, because they're going to put a stop to them being able to go into actual operation because it's in litigation. And so I don't want that to be the case. But we can only hope that that these operators get to start making product. The patients in Alabama deserve to have good, safe, clean product as well. And so I know that they're tired of waiting. So hoping the best for this program. And again, hopefully, because of the resources that I know that we've seen what has happened in other states, that we can learn, and these operators can also learn, and hopefully not have to close their doors before they can even start operating, because we've seen it happen in other states.
Yeah, I agree with you, Nicole. You can always hope for the best, but with these types of situations, you might as well expect the worst.
Don't. Hope for the best.
Hope for the best.
Optimism.
Yeah, I mean,
hope for the best.
I'm
Expect the
hopeful.
worst.
As long as there's not one of these another injunctions or something like that does potentially
there's
cause
going to be
license
something.
holders to-
There's going to be something, Yarrow. There's going to be something that pops up.
But I think broadly from a policy perspective, I'm trying to think of how to make an inappropriate joke appropriate. Like, I hope that race-based criteria is not the linchpin for this program, because we can look at the symptoms of institutionalized racism, of disenfranchisement, of a lack of equal opportunity, and we can come up with criteria based on those symptoms that show up very prevalently in communities that have been more impacted. And there is just a 2.0 conversation. And to your point, Nicole, there are organizations like Minorities for Medical Marijuana, MCBA, CCIA, CIOA that have template language that can be used for these programs, so that on a municipal basis, people don't need to go out there and both recreate the wheel as well as create potential downstream risk for their programs by having language that isn't defensible. So I'm optimistic, but I'm also scratching my head like, hey, we already knew better than this. Call Cat Packer, call somebody who's been a regulator with a program, and find out what they learned from that and how your language can be more defensible to avoid these civil lawsuits that will jam up, if not operators, Saman, if not the operators, at least the applicants. And I believe that every applicant should have the opportunity to go out there, work their ass off, and try to make a successful business.
Yeah, real quick,
It
may have been inadvertent, but I caught a couple of double entendres in there, because you did say linchpin, and we're talking about Alabama, number one. And then
Here's
number two,
the
you
thing.
did put a 2.0 in there as well. Just
No,
wanted
no,
to
but
point
here's
that
the
out.
He
thing.
did struggle
Yarrow,
through it, though. It was
Yarrow,
painful for him to say it, though. So
Our truth.
I catch everything. I'm
credit.
Spider-Man over here.
Yeah.
Look, you can't think logically in a system where it's meant to
It's
just
illogical.
stop the process. And that's the other part of this, is like half the lawmakers want it to go forward, the other half don't, right? So that's the problem, is they don't care about these civil lawsuits. What they care about is this system proliferating through their state where they can't control the money. And I think what it all boils down to, it's always about the money, and they want the people that they want to be operating so that they can benefit, and that's the deal. It's beyond all of these fundamental things that make so much sense to about 99% of the people in this country. But that's the power of politics, and this is how it works. And especially in a place like Alabama, Mississippi, Jason and I were in Mississippi.
Oh yeah, bro, we were out there.
Yeah, we were there.
Oh, bro, we were in the dirty of the Mississippi.
And we see how
I don't even know if I'm safe there. I mean, my only hope for this program, however well formed or not, is that these programs need to be coupled with resources, and that these license holders who are social equity need to be provided with more than some little tutorial on how to be a good bartender, and that these states need to make sure that they're allocating adequate resources to stand up these nascent regulated little paradigms and to ensure the success of these businesses. And I always believe that, separate from the language in their regs, I can tell how serious somebody is by how much resources they're allocating towards something. So if they put adequate resources towards standing up these businesses, I'm happy. And if they don't, I'm not.
And on that, we're going to go to a commercial. We're going to be right back.